We are on day 15 of the shutdown. Yesterday, the Senate rejected a potential funding deal for the 8th time, guaranteeing that the government shutdown that has furloughed hundreds of thousands of workers and caused disruption in services across the country will continue. So joining us now to give us some insight on negotiations or lack thereof is U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. Welcome back to the show, Senator.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I got to ask, so you've been in Congress for over 2 decades. So you've lived through some shutdowns. Does this one feel different?
Well, what feels different to me right now is the anxiety and concern that I'm hearing from constituents across Wisconsin who are facing these incredible choices about their health care. People who are on the Affordable Care Act marketplace, they have that insurance, are seeing the potential for their costs to double, triple, quadruple. And many of these individuals and families are small business owners, farmers, already seeing really tight margins. And when healthcare is personal, and so I'm hearing these stories that are so powerful. And so it feels different in that regard. I mean, prior shutdowns have been over policy issues that don't hit as close to home. And so this fight is deeply personal. It's causing a lot of worry among Wisconsinites who just don't believe they're going to be able to afford to keep their health care if Congress doesn't act. And, I could share so many stories that I've heard, but, I'll pick on Gigi, who's a small business owner in Dane County, just opened her business, has a storefront on Main Street, and she also is a cancer survivor. She had a childhood cancer, had chemotherapy, so she has some needs, even now she's in complete remission, that make her health care expensive. And she is looking at least a quadrupling if her premiums don't change because of the dropping of the Affordable Care Act credits, and much worse if her premiums also go up, which everyone anticipates will happen. And she's like, her small business is her dream, but she thinks she may have to close the door and try to find a job at a huge employer that offers health insurance just to survive. And these are the sort of stories I'm hearing over and over again across the state.
So I get it, right? Like, I get the hard line that is happening. I think you're right. Healthcare is really personal, and it seems to only be getting more expensive, which is a whole other issue as far as how do we get healthcare costs down across the board. But as far as the very real shutdown that is happening, and people are going to start feeling in their pockets, because I think today was payday, what is it going to take? I mean, it seems like the Democrats are holding the line. Like, what would get you to a yes?
I have heard from so many Republican colleagues, most of them very quietly, that they want to fix this problem. Okay. But a couple of them really vocally. I mean, I didn't talk to her directly, but I took notice when Marjorie Taylor Greene, a MAGA Republican from Georgia, she's been very vocal. Her 2 adult children got their notices about what their premiums are going to cost next year. They cannot afford it. They're young adults. And she understands that what her children are telling her is reflective of so many other constituents in her Georgia congressional district. That she's like, we've got to fix this. She said it very loudly, but I can promise you my Republican colleagues, many of them in the Senate, are more quietly saying the same things. We've got to fix it. And this is sort of ridiculous when they say, or when their leadership says, yeah, we'll talk about fixing it, but open the government first. We'll have a conversation then. That is not sufficient. We have got to have an ironclad agreement that we're going to fix this problem because it's so imminent. You know, there's a healthcare crisis generally. You pointed to it just now, and we have to tackle that too. A lot of that was created by the big, what Trump called the big beautiful bill, what I call the big ugly bill. There's lots of other elements of the healthcare crisis that we've got to address, but this one is imminent. Next week, Wisconsinites are going to get their premium notices. They get sent out Monday, October 20th. And so throughout the week, people are going to see that. It's going to be devastating for many. And frankly, they don't want a handshake agreement that maybe someday we'll start talking about this. We need something, we need action now.
So are you basically saying that unless you get this compromise, as far as them saying we'll extend the subsidies, you're a no?
That is my position right now. We need to reopen the government and bring down healthcare costs. They need to be done in tandem.
Do you feel at all from leadership, because I think there's been some rhetoric around pointing to the polling of who's to blame for the shutdown, and feeling like as of right now, Republicans are getting more of the blame. If that started to shift to Democrats, that people were blaming Democrats for the shutdown, do you think leadership would start to rethink their position on this?
Well, let me give you another polling statistic, and that is that 80% of Americans support extending the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits, the tax breaks for working families to help them afford their health care. And that's, you know, we're talking about what are the political fallout if they blame the Republicans or blame Trump or blame Democrats for the shutdown. Right now, 80% of Americans think that Congress needs to extend these tax breaks for working families to afford their health care. And frankly, if we don't, the political ramifications for Republicans, regardless of who they're blaming for the shutdown, is going to be enormous. Trump knows that. He's been sort of, you know, floating out ideas of extending the tax credits and then snatching them back, right? But, you know, that just shows how many cracks in the dam there are right now. And we've got to make sure that we keep fighting for the American people, that I keep fighting for the Wisconsinites who will be impacted. And the impact is far beyond just those who are on the Affordable Care Act, because rural hospitals are going to start to go under or drop vital services because of this and the big ugly bill. And so it's going to impact people who live in rural areas. It's going to impact those who see their premiums go up in other circumstances because of how much the system is out of whack because of both the big ugly bill and the potential expiration of these tax credits for working families.
What do you say to people who aren't following this as closely and just kind of throw their hands up and feel like they're pawns inside of a political game of who's going to blink first?
You know, I think one of the things is just to share these stories, these compelling stories. And, you know, we are fighting a battle that's going to impact all Wisconsinites. You know, healthcare, as I said, is so personal. And we want to be able to protect ourselves and our families, and we don't want a system where so many are falling between the cracks. This is just the first step, extending these Affordable Care Act tax credits. We have many other steps to take to bring down healthcare costs, to address a system that is in so many ways fundamentally broken. But let's not see people's healthcare premiums double, triple, quadruple, as we're seeing in some other states right now.
Then final question, then I'll let you go, because this is kind of a big one, but I didn't get to ask you this the last time you were on. Obviously, it's not news that Democrats as a party right now, not very popular. What do you feel like could move the needle as far as Democrats kind of regaining popularity, regaining people's optimism? Like, where do you see the gap right now? Yeah,
so first of all, I understand the polls, but this is not a popularity contest. my mission right now is to stand up for Wisconsinites and healthcare costs and bring them down. You know, what's so interesting is that Donald Trump ran for president last year to bring down healthcare costs, to bring down grocery costs, to bring down energy costs, to bring down costs, period. And people elected him because of that promise. He has betrayed that faith that people placed in him. All costs are going up right now. Childcare costs, housing costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs. His tariffs are wreaking havoc. The big ugly bill is wreaking havoc. And the expiration of the Affordable Care Act tax credits are wreaking havoc. And we can do something about that. We can stand up and fight. And, you know, whether that results in renewed popularity or not, we're just going to stand up and fight to do what's right and bring down costs.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today, Senator. This has been enlightening, and hopefully this shutdown will get resolved sooner. Maybe,
Yes.
hopefully we won't break the record for 35 days.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to keep on fighting.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Senator.
You too.
All right. We'll be back with more after this.